So happy to have you here today. Let us begin by organizing ourselves together so that we're all linked together in a commonality, and that's going to be through our oming. So let us participate in doing 3 ohms together, please. Oh. 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 Okay. So just want to remind you why we do oming. First of all, Om is the sound, the first sound that the universe made. In science, they call it the Big Bang. Seems kind of noisy. Om sounds a lot more deep and sweet. Big Bang, I don't know. We don't need to start out with a bang. So I say that too, so that that sound is still reverberating throughout the entire universe, which of course we are a part of, but we don't seem to remember that we are part of the universe. Every ant, every bee, every human being, every deer, every wolf, every planet, every galaxy is vibrating with this Om that continues to move through the universe. We are all related from the same being, the same consciousness, the same really big egg that we call the universe our home. So oming helps us to remember that we are a part of that. We're not separate. No matter how separate that we feel from our spirituality, we are not separate. When people feel like, oh, there's no God, there's no this, there's no that, they're just unaware. It doesn't mean that that's the truth. We always have to work on our awareness intuitively. Because remember, we're working on intuition this entire year. So our first word is intuition, and the saboteur of intuition is over intellectualizing. Now, obviously, we need clear and precise intellects. That's true, right? Of course it is. That's common sense, it's common knowledge, of course. But we can rely on our intellect so much that we forget about our intuition, or we think it's poo, you know? No. Our intellect can only go over and over things that we've already become aware of. So when we're intellectualizing, we're speaking about information that we're already aware of. Our intuition is about the things that we are not yet aware of. It is the place where, again, we are related to all beings in this universe, which means we actually have access to everything in the universe because we are part of it. It's sort of like we're a little cell in a human body. And cells, they live and die and reborn. They go through all of these interesting life cycles in our bodies. So we do that. We intellectualize and we get very, what do I want to say, attached to 2 words, name and form. Now, the yogis teach us, these are very, very old teachings of what I'm saying to you right now. The yogis teach us that there's Sat, Chit, Ananda. And what that means is truth, awareness, and bliss. Truth is always present. It never goes away, whether you know it or not, whether you believe in truth or not, whether you speak the truth or not. Truth always exists. It never goes away, or it wouldn't be truth. It's always present in all forms. It pervades the entire universe. Now, awareness is where we begin to intuit truth. We begin to intuit it. We begin to see repetitions. We begin to see how things come together, patterns. We begin to see patterns. We begin to become aware of our spiritual nature, not only our physical health, but our spiritual health. Truth, awareness, and awareness of truth brings bliss. Truth, awareness, and bliss. So they're always interacting with one another because they're all inherent in truth. So the more that we become aware of truth, the more blissful our lives become. We have a deeper understanding of that we are actually eternal. We suffer from a lot of fear about our impermanence. We're going to die. Our loved ones are going to die. I'm going to lose this job. Oh, now there's a divorce. We get so afraid because things are impermanent and we have such a resistance to impermanence. I want this to go on forever. I never want this to change. And yet it does. How we feel about ourselves, how we feel about one another, how we deal with change. Everything is always in movement, just like the sun and the stars and the planets and us. We all are in movement, so nothing can stay the same. There is no static in this universe. It's fluid. Space is fluid. So darkness is fluid. We look at darkness like it's scary because when we have night, things can happen because people who don't have very high consciousness in this way, who want to cause harm, they wear the darkness to harm others. It's like a safety or protection for them. But in the darkness is also where we heal, right? In the darkness, you want to sleep, darkness. When you're really resting, being very, very quiet, it's emptiness, which is a form of darkness. So the more we begin to ponder on the nature of light, we must also begin to ponder on the nature of darkness. So light pierces darkness, which means that light is inherent in darkness, which means there's a lot of darkness, which means there's a lot of light that we can't see with our physical eyes, but the light is still there. And we know this. We know that there are things that our eyes can't perceive. Cat's eyes can see things so much better than we do. So all these different levels of light exist, but we even have that weird saying, I won't believe it till I see it. You see how limiting that saying is? It's really limited. And it can really create a feeling of being powerful in the self, in the intellect. Nobody told me that before. I don't see what you're seeing, so therefore it doesn't exist. You see, we have to, with spirituality, we have to learn to use our intuition. We have to be open to feeling our way through the darkness and into the light. The light and truth are one and the same. Light and truth are one and the same. So the more that we have awareness of truth, deep spiritual truth that we've intuited, the more light that we carry within us, which means our intelligence broadens. We're unafraid to pierce into the unknown, into the darkness, and see what is lit up in there. New ideas, new ways of being. So our intuition requires darkness. In other words, it requires emptiness so that we're not projecting our ideas. So we're not looking for a perceived outcome. Intuition requires an inner strength, an inner resolve to. And the more that you can do that, that quietness begins to reveal the hidden things. You don't have to look for truth. It's about feeling it. How does it feel when somebody tells you, well, that's just a load of, you know what? Okay. Feel your way through it. We all have to feel our way to love. We know that love is something that sometimes is something that we don't understand. How can you love that person? They're awful. The intellect says, how can that be? But our intuition understands that they're a human being and they're lost. I don't have to be close to them physically, but I can still love them because they're hurting so bad or they wouldn't hurt others. There's truth in that, do you see? So truth doesn't have to be forceful. That's the truth. Maybe, maybe not. But learning to use your intuition means being very quiet. And this is not an easy thing to learn, which is why after we do our class here, we are going to start doing our meditation sessions. And it'll be like a minute or two, right? A little break before we start it. And the reason that we're doing it this year is because meditation is so, so important in learning about intuition. You'll find that I'm not going to be showing you some of the traditional ways. Surprise, surprise. Because I learn things more intuitively. So meditation is one of those things that I have found that people are beginning to really intellectualize. You have to do this, and we've hooked people up to these kind of machines, and we found that it does this and it does that, and there's all these interesting things that are there, and that's all well and good. But as a practitioner, none of that matters. None of that matters. Meditation is a way to sense your way in the darkness, bringing the word darkness in to eliminate fear. Because when we think of darkness, we think of dark, scary things that might, creepy, crawly things that could harm us. But darkness isn't that at all. It's the place where light lives. It is. It's the place where light lives. So it's the truth. We're learning to reveal the truth from within us. So we're going to be learning intuition and meditation through being aware of bringing it out from us. Bringing it out from us. Understanding that this word, this three-letter little word that is so controversial, that can start wars, the word God, is really very powerful. But it doesn't have to be like this. I don't want to hear that word. I don't like that word. I don't believe in that word. Well, gosh, belief isn't important here. It makes no difference if you have an opinion about it or you have a belief in it. No. So remember I told you Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Truth, awareness, and bliss. There's two more words that go with it that get most of the attention rather than truth, awareness, and bliss. The other two words are nama and rupa. Nama and rupa. Nama means name. Sounds like name. Nama, name. Rupa means form. So we put a lot of our attention on identifying things by seeing the form and giving it a name. Here's my form. You see my form, Jacqueline, Nama Rupa. But do you see my Sat Chit Ananda? So it's about feeling me rather than just depending on what you've read about me or see my form and decide, oh yeah, she's probably about this age and she's probably done this. I can tell by looking at her. Name and form are definitely a part of me, but we get very hung up on identifying everything. Well, that's this, and that's because of this and this and this and this. We intellectualize things so much that we miss out on the truth because we're lacking awareness to be able to see without prejudice, without projection of our own intellectual ideas onto the name and form. So then we're just reduced to, oh yeah, you know that lady, you know, her name's Jacqueline? Yeah, yeah. It's just name and form. And it becomes very important. We have branding. Name and form is so important that now we put so much emphasis on making that name and that form really, really prominent and like wanting people to see us in a particular way. But we're not necessarily wanting to understand the truth. We don't really want to be aware that they too are a soul or a spirit like we are. They're a name, they're a form, they're famous, they're this, they're that. And then we actually think we know them because we know their name. We see their form, we see their body of work. We know them. What do we really know about them? The more that you learn about yourself intuitively, the more you know about others, because we have far more in common than not. Far more in common than not. So we're learning to be more intuitive, to be more quiet, to be willing to receive information without feeling like it's going to hurt us or harm us. I've talked to you a little bit before about this in the sense of where we're using this word empathy now in a way where people say it to me like, but I'm an empath. It's just too hard for me to live out in the world. It's everything. There's so much. This being knows about that. I do. It's just that sometimes it brings the best out in me to feel people's pain because intuitively it teaches me to project compassion rather than feeling like, ouch, that hurt me. And now it's all about me. Now I can't help myself and I can't help the other person because I felt pain. No, we're all empathetic. We all have intuition. It's just that it gives us personal empowerment to be intuitive because you're not going to follow the rules so much. You're going to feel who you are. And by feeling who you are, you begin to feel yourself in others. Oh, yeah, I know how that feels. Yeah. And you'll feel that compassion. As you feel their pain, you feel it because you understood that pain, even though your circumstances, the form, the name was different, you can feel the effects of that pain. And the first thing we want to do is teach ourselves to go straight to compassion, to have compassion for your own beingness. And as it wells up inside of you, as you remember, yes, that happened to me too, a different way, but it happened to me too. And as you feel that awareness building up inside of you, the truth is you can feel them because you feel yourself. And that brings awareness of that. And a natural response is compassion. Compassion is natural. It's an intuitive response. But what happens sometimes is people are like, well, you kind of deserve that because you went ahead and did it anyway. So, you should have known better. That is not a natural response. That is a normal response. It's normal. Well, there you have it. No. You want to be natural. You have to intuit your humanity, your naturalness, your depth, your heart, your soul, part of you that's eternal. So that when I know that sometimes people get very agitated when they see a homeless person on a corner of the street. Why suffering like that? Another person's suffering can bring that up in us. I'm not sure why that is there. We don't need to analyze it, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just using this as an example. We could use 50,000 other things as an example. But sometimes it's just normal to go, well, why should I help you? I'm not going to give you something. I don't even know you. You probably go spend it on da 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 da. Okay, I'm not encouraging you to give money or not. What I'm encouraging you to do is to see that person with compassion and to know that you have been homeless before because you have felt unloved before. In some way, on some day, you have felt homeless in that way. So when you see someone, instead of deciding that they deserve their fate, perhaps we can stop ourselves, not punish ourselves or be upset with ourselves, but just go, oh, how interesting. Look at me doing that. You see, awareness. Look at me thinking that they deserve to hurt. Interesting. What can I do about that? I can say, kindly send that person peace, peace, peace today. You are not going to lose anything. It won't take from you. It won't hurt you. It won't take away from your bank account of spirituality because your bank account of spirituality is not for you. It's for you to give away. All of your spiritual awareness is not to be hoarded for you. Keeping this for me, giving compassion only to myself, or whatever you want to say. It's about giving it away because it keeps building up. So it ends up that the wealthiest person on the planet is the one who gives away their wealth because they know the truth that spiritual wealth continues to replenish itself. It can never go away. Never. So when you feel drained or you feel you're being taken advantage of, or here's the other one I hear a lot, I've done all this for all these people. Now it's my turn. I don't know what that means. I didn't know we were taking turns. Nobody told me that there was a turn to take. It's your turn to help this person. Now it's your turn to get help. I didn't know it was like this. I thought it was spontaneous to give. I didn't know that we were supposed to measure it out. Well, I gave him 4 days. That's enough. Why are we irritated? Because we helped someone. Because we didn't really help them with our heart. Got too sucked into the duty. And it's unfair. I gave, now who's going to give to me? I do everything for everybody else, but nobody ever does anything for me. And here you are. If you really help them, then your bank account of spiritual nourishment should be big. When you truly give to another person, you don't have to be acknowledged for it, You can do it without ever being recognized for it and be content. No, no, it's important to be acknowledged. Sure, but it isn't everything because it can make people hoard it and wait for that acknowledgement. There's times when people get really mad. I gave her a present. She didn't even say thank you. They can hold on to that literally for years. You see, nothing was ever given. So this is about intuiting love, which is synonymous with truth, which is synonymous with God. Truth, God, and love. They're words for the same vibration. And these things live not only around us, but in us. It's always interesting when we have to say to ourselves and to one another, God lives inside of me. It's like, well, if there's this force that permeates the universe, I'm part of the universe. So, of course, that is the largest part of me. And I'm in this body so I can experience life here on this planet. You have to come clothed to be on earth. You have to have a body. That's just how that works. You can't come here naked. You have to be clothed in a body. And as clothes, they will disappear. But not you. You continue on. You've already been continuing on, I don't know, light years for eternity, whatever that means. Intuition is about opening yourself up and not being so possessed by name and form, nama, rupa. Just like Shakespeare said, something about you can call a rose by any other name, but it's still a rose. Name and form. Okay, now you have a name for it, for this form, but it doesn't explain its depth. That comes from intuition. Intuition. And that's the place where you discover the light and the darkness within. I'm not talking about dark evil. Just talking about the absence of light, that we can't see it. The light is actually there, but we don't see it. So when people do really heinous things, we're like, well, that's darkness. There's no light there. Oh, yeah, there is still. Yeah. I grant you that, yes, you are correct, that of course, there isn't any apparent light. But in order to have existence, which we do, we have to be made of light. And we are made of light. And light pervades everything in this universe. Change here. So remember that light and sound go together. So for every sound, there's a color. For every color, there's a sound. And when you wear certain colors, it makes you feel a little different. Or you paint your walls a different color. It feels a little different because it produces a sound. So we're all relating to sounds that our ears can't hear. So with intuition, we're teaching ourselves to be so quiet inside that we're hearing sounds that our ears can't hear. It's our soul that hears the sound, the vibration of what's troubling the person that's sitting next to us. It's a vibration. You are a series of vibrations. Every thought that you think in your mind produces a sound. And you know that because you can hear yourself talking to yourself. That's a vibration. So we're constantly vibrating. And that collection of those sounds are you. It reveals to anybody who has intuition, which we all do, the more we develop it, it reveals part of your essence, how you think. Because every thought has a vibration. So people who really think a lot about fear, you can feel that from them. You don't hear the sound of fear, but you feel the vibration of fear, the way that it affects the environment. Same thing with joy. If someone has joy in their heart, you can feel that vibration in that moment. It also has like a color, it emanates a particular kind of light. And when you look into people's eyes, you can see if they have joy in there or not. So sound and light are vibrations that are always dancing together. Every sound has a color. Every color has a sound. So learning to develop our intuition, you see, it's about learning to sense one another. And you relate it to yourself and you can feel like, yeah, I recognize what's in that person because I recognize that sound in my own self. You know how like if you've been thinking and being really, really, really stressed and whatever it was that you were really, really stressed about came to a fruition in some way that was okay. And then you come across another person and you see them really, really stressed. We say, I relate. You can feel that vibration in them. You can feel that zzz that's going on inside of them. Intuition develops a type of courage inside of us that it's okay to feel. Because even if you're not aware of it, you are feeling one another. When people begin to develop in a way where they feel so empathetic that they get so hurt, they're crumpled in that hurt. It overtakes them. But that hurt has always been there. The hurt that they feel from other people, it's always been there. They have merely become aware of it. And becoming aware of that kind of pain can be very overwhelming and it can crumple you. But the more that you help yourself to realize it's okay, I can send them compassion. Instead of going, well, all I could do is, she says send compassion. I don't know how that's going to help. Don't let your intellect come in there and defeat you. Strive on. Send that compassion. We live in the same planet, on the same planet, all of us. We all are perfectly aware of what a dangerous place it's actually become. We all know this. Resistance to feeling it can harm each of us. It can make us dull or feel dead inside, numb, just to look at it. We have witnessed violence so often through pictures that there is a certain numbness that's there. You don't want that. You don't want that. Because the action is still there. The feeling, the way it really has affected you is right there. And it's actually creating what we call shock. We save shock for when in the moment when you see something and you see an action, a violent action happen, and people are like this, we see shock. But after a while, you see all of these pictures and you see them where in whatever form, you see it so much that we call that numb, but I call it shock. It's the effect. we're all so shocked, shell shocked by violence that we resist sending peace to one another because we think it won't help. Why bother? It doesn't make a hill of beans of difference. Oh yeah, that one person thing. One person can change the world. We start to think like that. No. We have to help ourselves treat ourselves to healing trauma and shock from just what we look at, from just what we hear, so that we're vibrant and we're open and we're feeling. And we know that the world has become dangerous. We're not just walking around like zombies, all shocked and numb. Not a good idea, because we can't get the deeper work done. And the world will continue to become more dangerous. There's an antidote to everything. Every poison has an antidote. So today we're talking about not over intellectualizing everything. Well, they deserve that. That's the way it is. And well, I'm going to take this side. Those people are stupid. Well, they're even more stupid than those people. Oh my goodness. And we call this intellectualizing. We want to come back to our hearts and help ourselves. I have to keep watch over my mind every single day. That thing wants to go all kinds of places, you know? But I feel better when I'm empty. So I do my spiritual practice every morning, but it doesn't stop there. No, I get hungry throughout the day. That's not enough food for me. So throughout the day, there's certain techniques that I have that I repeat, certain mantras, my favorite ones. Then I have some that I really use just for emergency measures because it takes more concentration to do those. There's certain breaths that I do. There's certain passages that I've memorized from my yogic teachers, the Danta, and I say them to myself to bring me back to remembering that I am a soul first, and I have this magnificent body that has a magnificent brain, like we all have magnificent bodies, magnificent brains, no matter how critical you are of it or somebody else's. It's still magnificent that we have that and that we're here on this planet. Why? To be famous? I don't think so. That seems rather cheap. It's a lot to go through just for somebody to remember that, you know, you're the best crystal maker or something. I don't know, you know? Doesn't seem to be enough for me. So a spiritual practice throughout the day, because we live in what in Vedanta is called the Kali Yuga. It's a yuga means like a section of time that can be thousands of years. It's really a big way to measure time. And we live in the Kali Yuga, which is considered to be the worst of times. And I think even if we're not really thinking about it, we might have a tendency to agree. It is called the age of untruth. The age of untruth. Because we focus so much on nama and rupa, name and form. This is what this means. Do you know what this is made up of? This has got da 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 da, and it's made up of da 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 da, and it takes this much time to become this. That's what that is. There's nothing else. I don't know why you people keep thinking that there's something wonderful about this. Okay, now you've given it name, a bunch of names to what even is in it, but can you feel it? Can you feel that it's alive? Can you feel it? We've stopped feeling water. All life needs water, right? Most of my body, what it's made up of is water. But what's happened to our water on the planet? Terrible, nasty, dirty stuff. Would you bathe in that? Of course not. You want clean, fresh water to bathe in. You want clean, fresh water to go into your body. Yet, our other habits have polluted our big water sources. Don't you find that interesting? How did that happen? We forgot. We forgot that we too are water. And that if we pollute the water outside of us, we pollute the water inside of us. If we pollute the air outside of us, what are you going to do? You breathe it in, you can't hide from it. Mm-mm. And we become the dirty air too. How did all that happen? Dirty minds. Seriously, just unclean thinking. Willing to take shortcuts for money or posterity in some way. Not a very good exchange. And we all suffer from this in various forms, in varying degrees. So you can see we live in the worst of times. Never has there been a time when the most intelligent beings that are roaming the planet have done so much unintelligent things to our planet. This is the age of untruth. So the more that we intuit truth and we're aware more of ourselves and our actions and our thoughts, as we change our thoughts, we change how we speak. As we change our thoughts, we change how we act. We change our vibration, and wherever you go, you carry that vibration, and a part of you lingers in that place where you have been. If you work on yourself, you chant, I am love, I am love, I am love. And you go someplace that lacks that, it will linger there. It will linger there. And you can see that if it starts in one of us and we pass it to another one, it's just like lighting one candle can light all the candles on the planet. Oh, there's those airy fairy people talking about that candle thing again. Well, live in darkness then, but it's not the thing I want to do. Yes, light the candle, light the damn candle. Share it with others. Absolutely. Light the candle within. Help yourself to have joy. Practice peace within yourself. It's very, very important that you catch yourself being negative, berating yourself. Remember, I gave you that example of people saying that that homeless person doesn't deserve any compassion because they made a bunch of bad decisions. Well, why would anybody do that unless they do that to themselves? Watch how you speak to your own humanity. Have compassion for your own beingness, for your own hurt. Don't shame yourself, because if you do that, you won't be able to help but shame others. And it just makes it that much harder to find the starting line in life. Shame makes us blind and we can't see where to even begin. It's so hard to get out of shaming. When I was thinking about this morning, oh, it even makes me teary. Oh, it goes right back to like being a child and having a teacher shame you in front of people. We all have stories like that. I certainly do. And one of them came back into my mind this morning as I was thinking about this, and I thought, oh my God, of course it's still there. Where would it go? But it's how we deal with it. Now I look at it and I actually have this compassion for that child. Whereas before I was so shamed, I just thought, oh my God, this is awful. Everybody sees me being shamed like this, and it makes you feel like you're bad. It makes you, uh, it makes you little, makes you want to shrink, makes you feel powerless. Yeah, shaming is like a big rifle. It could hurt somebody. So don't do it to yourself. And catch yourself if you are doing it. And treat yourself to some quiet. Treat yourself to some peace. Chant something about peace so that you help to change that vibration inside of yourself. Don't over intellectualize it. Well, no, let it be. Send light to it in some way. Help yourself. Have these ways throughout the day where you can keep coming back home. Keep coming back home. Periodically, people will ask me when they come for a session, they'll say, wow, how do you do this? How do you go from person to person? Don't you need a break? I don't understand. Because I'll say, yeah, come on in, come on in. Well, the whole time that I'm at my job, at my work, I'm doing my inner work because we're there to do intuitive work. So I have to keep scrubbing myself all day long, right? And staying open, because if I do this because I'm hearing painful things, of which of course I do, I can't be like this. I have to be open. I have to let it move through me. It doesn't belong to me. So that's why I have my whole ritual of closing my little drawers after I speak to each person, because their information does not belong to me. I just feel privileged that that they shared it with me. And as they share it with me, it helps me to help me, which perhaps can help them. So you see, as you help yourself, because you've seen somebody else acting up or acting out, and you see that, and instead of going straight to sending them shaming energy, you catch it, know that now you've just helped yourself too. There's a pathway now that you're building inside of yourself to become much more in tune with inner strength and what that means. Inner strength is that ability to bear those hurts with grace and dignity. And it takes constant practice, which is not a big deal. It sounds like, oh my God, how am I going to practice? I'm so busy worrying and stressing. I don't have time for a spiritual practice, for Pete's sake. What is she talking about? If you have time to stress and you have time to be like this, you have time for your spiritual compassion for yourself. Have a chant, have a mantra, have a prayer, have an affirmation, have something there that you could come back to pull yourself off the edge. Save yourself throughout the day. Give yourself peace. Bless yourself with peace. We do have time to eat good food and to drink clean water. We don't think we do, but we do. We do have time to think good thoughts. We do have time to practice restfulness. We do. So I'm just asking you to be aware of over-intellectualizing, which means chronic indecision. What should I do? Well, I could do this. Well, I could do that. Well, I could do this. I could do that. And when's that decision supposed to be made? About 6 months. About 6 months. So here I am, 6 months out there, boom, 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 boom. And that's what our intellectualizing means. I don't think that's good enough. If that decision does not have to be made in this moment, I encourage you to rest and to ask yourself, how will it feel? Not what choice to make. How will it feel when it all works out? And practice the feeling of how it will feel when it all works out. If you practice that every single day, you will get closer and closer to the right decision because you will feel it, because you're already attracting it to you. But you have to trust yourself. When we get in that chronic indecision, we're not trusting ourselves. We're wanting to please other people or somehow or another get acknowledged in some way. We all do this. There's nobody that isn't. There's no reason to feel bad when you hear me say these things. No. I'm just encouraging you not to over intellectualize, because I'm just using indecision as one of the ways, because it can make us oppositional. We can be defensive and argue with other people about things. For what reason? So we could walk away huffing and puffing and saying, I was right. And then all night long, you're tossing and turning because you were right. You know how that happens. So we all have to be very, very careful of that and want to walk away with some peace in our heart, knowing that, yeah, they totally didn't understand what I was saying. And you know what? That kept me safe. It's all right that they don't know me. It's all right that they don't understand me. I kept myself safe. They walk away thinking they're right, or that they don't know something about me. That's okay with me. That's okay with me, because I live with me. I live with me. So for our word for this month, till we come back in the first Sunday on March, is the word practice. We've had it before, but practice is one of those things. We can use that word all the time. But this time, the saboteur of practice might be surprising to you. I've never used this word for saboteur, and it does have some very virtuous qualities to it. However, we use it quite often in a very negative way. And the word is try. I'm trying. I've been trying. What do you want me to do? I'm trying. You see how that doesn't bring us any peace? So I gave you this big kind of way of looking at it, but we want to help ourselves to stay away from that, because it also makes us very defensive. So we want to just kind of like observe ourselves where we want to burst out with I'm trying, or you need to try, whatever it might be. Help ourselves to kind of limit that and learn to see this little tiny word in a way that maybe it's not such the best word to use, so that we can start to embrace the word practice more. Right? Practice. Spiritual practice. Practicing watching your thoughts. Practice watching how you respond to other people. Just watching it. Because as you become aware, then you intuit the truth, and it makes us blissful. Sat Chitananda, right?
Take a break for a moment. We'll take a little 5-minute break.
Okay. So we're going to do 3 ohms together, and then we're going
To take a break for
okay. So we're going to do 3 ohms together, and then we're going to take like a 1 or 2 minute break, just so we can switch on to the next. Yes, so we're going to our meditation class. Okie doke. So we'll do 3 ohms together, and then if you want to stay and participate, that's lovely. And if you don't, then I wish you peace. All right. Oh. 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 Peace be with you. We'll be back in just a moment.